3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to Redshirt Cinema Club, a weekly podcast about fandom and watching movies with friends. This week we're trying something new, not talking about a film series or director, but a year, 1991. Welcome to our first ever Top 10 of the Year episodes, which will follow up over the next few weeks with rewatches of our personal top picks. Join us as we count down to what those picks are. Hello and welcome to Redshirt Cinema Club. I'm your host Nathan Dighton and I'm joined today by Robert Pearson.
Hello.
And David Jackson.
Hello.
Today's episode, gentlemen, is a time machine. A time machine taking us back to 1991.
I'll go, happily.
How old are you, Dave?
I'm 6.
No.
5 to 6.
Excellent, that was a trick. You're actually 39.
Oh, we haven't gone yet.
No. Now we've gone. Rob, how old are you?
4 until the very end of the year,
Of course.
when I'll be 5.
Christmas Day. You
Yeah.
and Jesus celebrating your birthdays.
Yeah.
I am 10. What a time for me in the cinema. An electric time. And what we're doing today, the reason we're going back to 1991 is we're doing our first ever ranking episode. Format, really, to be tested within this episode as we record. We have all brought a list of top 10 films, or in some cases, 10 films that we have seen in 1991. We're going to go through them in reverse order and by turns.
Right.
And the thing which I was trying to describe to you, we should say, I will shout them out, we have stolen this format from...
I was going to say borrowed or were inspired by, but
probably
if you've
stole it
stolen
from
it, then
somebody.
you can tell us.
I think they've stolen it from somebody else.
Okay.
From the Backpage Pod.
That's all creativity is.
The Backpage Pod, it's a video games podcast, and their format is that they will do a top 10 for a year, and if someone mentions a film which appears higher on someone's list, then that other person just says, well, that's higher on my list, and then we discuss it at that moment where it comes up later on. So sometimes we'll skip. And I think that there probably are going to be some common points here as we get to number 1.
Yeah.
The other thing is we're playing quite fast and loose with release dates because we are, I don't know, I think the basis of our podcast in general is theatrical releases. If you do them just by UK release, then you kind of miss out on... Sometimes things slip over, especially things that were released in December. So I haven't been strict.
I was strict.
You were strict.
Yeah, I thought we were being strict, so I was very strict.
Well, if we want to be strict, I can shuffle one of mine out and do something else instead.
Well, I just thought that we were. I don't know. I might have seen an amazing film from 1992 or
I just googled
1990.
1991 films and until I'd found 10 that I'd seen.
I found it. All right. Okay, right, Rob. Well, it'll be interesting. You might have got a couple of releases from other countries at that time. Obviously, America. I found a really good website. Even IMDb, I found only had some of the releases in 1991.
Yeah.
But I found a really good website that was like a UK based thing, and it had them week by week. So I went through all 52 weeks and saw every 5 films that was released each Friday. So I've been quite strict, but we'll see if there's a movie that should be in my top 10.
We're testing this format. And it only really matters if we come back and do 1990 or 1992 very soon.
Yes.
In which case there'll be some questions asked.
That's true.
So we're just going to kick off. And at the end of this, we're not going to come up with like a big, giant Redshirt Cinema Club ranking, but we are going to be asking the community, probably through Patreon, what their rankings are for the year, and what we're trying to get out of this will be that our number 1 films will then be the films that we'll watch over the next 3 weeks in an order to be decided. And as a final film that we watch in this series, we'll watch the community's number 1 film for 1991, or if that's one we've already seen, their second or third choice. How exciting would that be?
Don't deliberately vote for rubbish films.
Yeah, don't do that.
So we have to watch a rubbish film.
And also,
we'll just say not that one.
well, there was some contention yesterday because Rob said, "Well, this is my favourite film," and he told me, which was a spoiler. He said, "But the film I want to watch is this one, so maybe I'll put this number 1." And I was horrified.
Yeah, it is tricky. Also, should we start by saying how many films from 1991 we've watched? I don't know if you actually counted, Nath, but because I went through, like I said, every one. I know now how many I actually have seen. I'm not going to say what they are, but just so that people know, because we can't say we've seen every film.
I think me
1991.
being a bit older has really helped me out here.
I have actually seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 movies from 1991.
Rob's seen 10.
Yeah,
Barely 10.
barely 10.
Like I'm not confident that there is a single calendar year that I've seen 10 films from.
I'm glad we're doing this format.
That one where you had the summer and it was great before uni.
Yeah, maybe that's the only one. I mean, I don't see films very often.
It's
Yeah.
good that you're doing a film podcast.
Well, it wasn't my idea, was it? I was just brought into this.
That's
Really.
me cancelling my Patreon membership.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just tap, tap, tap,
Well, I've
tap,
got
tap.
opinions on the films I have seen.
Yeah, that's good. That's important, I suppose.
This is a
I
podcast
don't have many opinions
about watching films.
That's right. The best thing is when you haven't seen films and you get to watch them. I agree. So in that way, you're winning.
So welcome to the first and only time we do the top 10 rankings from a year. I think I've seen something like 25 from this year. But a lot of them were completely terrible. So they weren't included in my final list. So in the spirit of Rob, let's have Rob. What is your number 10?
My number 10 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Yes.
The Secret of the Ooze.
Yes.
This was so close to being in my top 10.
Which I genuinely think the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie is great.
Yeah.
And I used to absolutely love Turtles as a kid. And so I have, I've not seen this movie probably since I was 8 or 9. And I used to love the Turtles movies, especially I thought and even watching one of the scenes yesterday just to remind myself of it, I genuinely think the models and the facial
It's great.
mechanics are really good.
It's good.
Just look really smooth.
Yeah.
And the action scenes, I don't know how they're doing it in those suits.
No.
But they look great.
I remember watching like a Live and Kicking or something, some sort of Saturday morning kids TV show, and they had the
As a guest.
Turtles come on, and it blew my mind because I was like, well, there's some movie magic in the movie, obviously, but then there they were, and they were dancing around, jumping about, and they had the heads on, and they were talking with their little mouths.
That is extraordinary.
It was amazing.
I can't remember what it was from. Like an excerpt of a documentary where one of the guys who controls the heads was talking about how in sync the actor in the suit is with the person puppeteering the facial expressions.
Right.
To the point where they can just be speaking and the person doing the mouth can just sort of be in tune almost psychically and just know how to speak.
That suggests that when they go on kids' TV, those 4 people have to come along with them.
Yeah.
You
Unless-
think, yes.
You could also get a situation where if you just had one remote control tuned to every face, you could make them all do exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
at the
I was
same
just
time.
thinking, what if there was some interference and like Michelangelo's just looking down the lens, just going, ah! Kids are all terrified,
You
horrified
think there'd
everywhere.
probably be some technology now where the actor inside the suit can speak and them speaking automatically makes the face move in a certain way.
Yeah.
But
Well, you get that Chewbacca mask. It's only a little bit on from that.
But I just thought it looked really good. Even watching it last night, it's like there's something about those models. And the first film especially, it's got this quite edgy, dark
It's
vibe
quite
to
a
it.
gritty film, isn't it?
Whereas this one, there's a scene where they have a fight on a rap dance floor, and Vanilla Ice does a rap,
rap
a
dance
ninja
floor.
rap.
A ninja rap.
It's
sounds
the
like
ninja rap.
That's something I make in my ninja air fryer.
They're fighting the bad guys
I had one
on
of those
this
this
in
week.
this club, and Vanilla Ice is doing a rap.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, oh God, the Turtles are having a fight, and the owner of the club's like, phone the police. Then everyone starts really enjoying it, and Vanilla Ice is like, yeah, it's the ninja rap. The ninja rap.
What
they have a fight. It's
what
great.
genre? Because I was thinking, The Secret of the Ooze is such a great name for a kids movie, and I was thinking, but is it a kids movie? Like the Teenage Mutant
Yes.
Ninja Turtles are like kids characters, but it is quite dark.
It's a gritty
The
film.
second one is not. The
Isn't
second
it?
one's very sort of kiddie.
Isn't this the one where there is some ooze and it like makes Shredder into like Super
Yeah,
Shredder? He's horrible. I remember him being massive
Yes.
and really terrifying.
Is this where Bebop and Rocksteady?
Yeah, Bebop and Rocksteady are in this film.
Interesting.
Well, they use the ooze to create like I can't remember the names of the characters, like a big wolf
Oh my
and like a
God.
big evil
Is
turtle.
he in this podcast?
Is it Bebop and Rocksteady?
I think it might be Bebop.
It's not Bebop and Rocksteady.
Well, okay. I think you're right. As in the cartoon, that's like a rhino. He's like a hog and a
And a
rhino.
Yeah. Bebop and Rocksteady. I know who
But
they are.
aren't Bebop? Isn't this just the movie version of Bebop and Rocksteady?
No.
They're called something different.
A Bebop and Rocksteady.
They're not Bebop and Rocksteady. There's an evil turtle and there's like a wolf.
Are they other
Evil
genres
turtle.
of music? Because Bebop and
Music?
Rocksteady
Of course.
yeah, are genres of
I
music.
don't know that they're genres of
There's
music.
scat
Yeah,
and
quick time.
yeah,
I'd have to look up what they're called, but they're definitely not.
Get him smooth jazz.
Anyway, also, I found out that David Warner is in this film.
Oh.
Yes,
Who was obviously in
Tron.
another film that came out
had
in
a career.
1991
I see.
that might be on this
That
list
might
as well.
turn up.
Well,
a bit later on.
just in general, looking at the number of films that actors were in that year.
Yeah.
Well, it just feels different to now. I don't know if that's true. It would be interesting to talk
People
about. But there,
working more or less.
yeah, one actor in particular was having a great old time.
I was thinking that there's a couple of years. We should probably move on.
Yeah.
But we had way more to say about The Secret of the Use than I expected.
Yeah.
But it was, I think the first one was at the time the most profitable independent movie ever, because it was
Really?
it was
Wow.
because it was made. It wasn't just for kids. I think it then became a bit of a phenomenon.
Yeah.
But it had like a grittier sort of sense to it, and it was like a genuine.
This is one of the VHSs my grandparents brought back from Cyprus.
Oh, well done, Grandpa.
Loved it. But yeah, definitely just filmed off a cinema screen.
Dave?
All fuzzy in that.
Your number 10, please.
Yeah, we'll definitely have less to say, or I have less to say about my number 10, which is Mermaids.
Wow, was that this year?
Yeah.
Of course. I
And
mean,
it-
it's probably down as 1991 for me and Rob, but I don't think
This
we'd
is
put it in
1991.
No,
Oh,
sorry,
right, yeah.
1990. But I think we probably wouldn't have had
It's
it.
the film I've seen the least on. I think I've only seen Mermaids once.
I've never seen it.
Do you know anything about it? Do you know what it is?
Nothing about it at all.
It's kind of difficult for me to describe in as much as it's basically about some people. It's about a family. It stars Cher, who's excellent in this movie, as I recall. Winona Ryder is Cher's daughter, and she's like a single mum with two daughters who kind of moves around a bit, and it's a bit of a rom-com from the perspective, I think, of Winona Ryder, the daughter, who sort of sees her mum trying to find love, but also she's not like not in a sort of when will I find the right man kind of way. She's quite forthright and whatever, and the man she finds is Bob Hoskins.
Wow.
Yeah,
I love Bob
who's
Hoskins.
great, and maybe partly why this gets into my top 10. But I just remember it being really
Cher and Bob Hoskins.
what I know. And Cher, like, it's just so funny. I watched the trailer last night and it was just like, Cher. like, just it's funny seeing people who are a brand, like one name on a credit is really, really funny. Funny enough, I was walking through London and saw a poster for a play that's going on, and it had who's that lady? This doesn't really work. But anyway, it was just someone from today who only has one name.
Was it
And
Zendaya?
no, it wasn't Zendaya.
Beyonce.
It wasn't Beyonce. It was like a British star. She's from the X Factor.
Oh, no.
You know,
You've
like
lost me.
one of the judges. What's her name?
Becky.
Footballer's wife.
Talisa.
No. Now she's not a footballer's wife
Cheryl
anymore.
Cole.
Yes, she's just rebranded
Cheryl.
as Cheryl now. And so it was like, this guy,
She was
Cheryl.
She was
Like,
in a
who's
Ghost Story.
Cheryl? And Cheryl is not Cher. Do you know what I mean? Like, Cher is a name that's kind of, it's not a name. I've never met anyone called Cher.
She's probably called Cheryl.
My mother-in-law's called
It's like,
Cher.
which Cheryl? Wow. Is she Cher?
No, she's not.
Are you
She's
sure?
not the Cher. Her
Because
name-
I wouldn't trust you
Her
to
name-
know.
her
You're
name
the
is-
sort of person who go, oh, is she famous? Oh, I didn't know.
No,
Oh,
I'm
Cher.
not.
Yes, you are. You were just telling me
Her
about
name is
a rap
Cheryl.
dance floor.
Her name is Cheryl, but
Right.
everyone
Right,
just calls her Cher.
Is that what happened to Cher?
Maybe.
fine, just
Probably
positive,
is, yeah.
yeah.
Ah, okay. Anyway,
And, she's obviously, to my daughter, she's Grandma Cher, which I always think is just quite funny.
that is funny. So yes, it's just a nice, warm film with some really good performances, as I recall, and I like Bob Hoskins a
Now
lot.
we've got Bob Hoskins in there.
Yeah, but I think it's Winona Ryder's point of view, and she's very funny in this movie. So, Mermaids. Have you seen it, Nate?
I've not seen Mermaids.
Oh, wow.
No.
Okay.
No. Do you know, it's funny, because I remember the film coming out, and I remember, isn't this where It's in His Kiss? That's where that came from, Cher's number one?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And that's where what I remember is them all doing the
music videos from
Shoop,
them,
Shoop.
doing the Shoop Shoop song.
Shoop Shoop song.
Yeah.
My number 10, which we don't have to talk about for very long at all, is a Japanese movie called A Scene at the Sea, directed by Takeshi Kitano, who you will remember as
I love Takeshi Kitano.
and he's the villain in Johnny Mnemonic. So he's the Japanese guy who is very angry on a few phone calls in his office. In Johnny
He's the
Mnemonic.
director. of this movie?
He is the director. So Takeshi Kitano was a comedian in Japan in, I think, the 70s and 80s, was part of a double act called The Beats, and he was known as Beat Takeshi. And he was going to have a part in a movie called Violent Cop, and for some reason he ended up directing it. I think the other director pulled out, and then he made a series of movies, which I think his next one was called, I think, Boiling Point. I'm not sure. My favourite of his movies are, he did a movie called Hanabi, which means fireworks, which is, I think, his like best film. I kind of stopped watching them shortly after that. But they're kind of like ironic takes on, some of them are just straightforward takes on kind of Japanese cop, criminal genre, and some of them are slightly more sophisticated and ironic and kind of deconstruct it. That's what Hannah B does. This is his third film from 1991, and it was the first time he'd made a film which wasn't very violent at all or about policemen or criminals. And it's about a deaf surfer who I think he finds a surfboard and he falls in love with a deaf girl. And the reason that I love it is that there's like a deadpan sense of humour to it all. It's funny that he was the non-straight man. He was like the funny guy in his double act. But his movies have got a really... it's difficult to know who to compare him to in the US or the UK. He's got like a real deadpan sense of humour where he'll just let scenes play out and someone will just react at the end. There'll be lots of stillness in the scenes. And he kind of applies that to a non-violent setting, just to kind of watching life at the sea. And the music's by Joe Hisashi, who had done a lot of the
Ghibli composer
stuff.
Yeah.
So the music's fantastic and it's just nice.
Have you seen his Zatoichi?
I have, yeah.
I
only
love
saw
that film.
I saw it once at the cinema, but I enjoyed that as well. Yes.
Have you seen Battle Royale?
I have seen Battle Royale. Have you seen Battle Royale?
I have seen Battle Royale,
and
yeah.
he is obviously the teacher in Battle Royale.
Yeah.
So there you
Maybe
go.
we
Have
should
you
watch
seen
Battle Royale sometime.
Takeshi's Castle?
Oh, I love Takeshi's Castle.
Takeshi's Castle. And I think that's an interesting one because film audiences or international audiences up until that point were just like, oh, that guy whose movie is sometimes at Cannes. And then it's kind of like, yeah, Bravo buys this thing. And it's like, why is the man from Cannes on the top of a giant castle in a foam tank?
It's such a good show, Takeshi's Castle. I love how sometimes people get really hurt and they just cut. They'll still show everything up until they're like, and they're like, cut away. It's fine.
But I do, yeah, I think it's an interesting one. What you think about how reputation travels. We kind of talked about probably on the podcast before how sometimes things like I might go and see Seven Samurai this weekend. It's just an action blockbuster in Japan, but in the West it's kind of like this revered Kurosawa movie. Similarly, I think audiences know him from. But it's like, I guess, like Olivia Colman or someone. It's like she will never not have been on Peep Show for UK audiences, but maybe in the US.
Yes, that's really funny.
She's something else. Okay, so Rob, your number 9, please.
We're definitely not going to be speaking very long here because I'm certain this is going to be higher up someone else's list. It's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, number 9.
Higher on my list.
It's higher on my list too.
All right, off we go then to the next number 9.
My number 9 then. Will we be talking about that? I'd like to think we might be. It's Kindergarten Cop.
We are definitely talking about. Again, I think this is a 1990 movie, but I wouldn't have put it on my list anyway.
Yeah, you wouldn't have.
No, I don't think so.
So can I talk about it?
Of course you can.
Okay, it's not higher on your list, Rob?
No, because I didn't see it in any of the 1991
I see.
lists that I was looking at.
Would it be?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Well, Kindergarten Cop, I have a soft spot for. It's not my favourite. There's like a period of Arnold Schwarzenegger films. I say that like he's entered a certain period, which is madness because there's definitely another film he's in this year that I'm sure will be on lists, which is very, very different. But he kind of had a sort of run of 90s comedy movies, much more story based rather than action based. For example, Twins, which I love, is in this period. What's the one where he's pregnant?
Junior.
Yeah. And Kindergarten Cop, which is basically about, if you haven't seen it, it's where Arnold Schwarzenegger, who at this time is a massive action star, obviously plays a cop who has to go undercover as a kindergarten teacher and in pursuit of a suspect for some sort of crime or other. And obviously he's like hard-boiled policeman, laughs in the face of criminals and guns and violence, but a room full of kindergartners is quite actually difficult for him to handle. And I think
I bet he learns something, doesn't he, at the end?
I think he learns to be a great kindergarten teacher at the end.
And he loves it.
And I don't want to. We don't want to spoil this for people who haven't seen it. I think it's worth a watch. It's really funny and fun and nice and warm.
Do you know, the weird thing was, growing up at this time, obviously the things I wanted to watch when I was 10 or 11 were Predator, Commando, and knowing that the star of those movies was in this cycle of making twins and junior, it was a confusing time.
Yeah. It's really funny because if you watch the trailer for this movie, as I did, they just focus on they really really try and convince you that this is a serious cop movie until the end. And it just go really hard. And there's some great scenes at the start where he's really badass and is scaring everybody in New York City and whatever, and is just chasing down crime. And then he just falls apart when he's faced with a room full of kindergartners. But not like that means anything, but they're scary.
What did The Rock do? No, Vin Diesel did Daddy Daycare. Really similar vibe.
Yeah, there's nothing original, is there? Like this format, in fact.
Yes.
But one quick thing, why in America is it kindergarten when that's so
German.
Clearly a German...
Well, I guess it was because it's a country full of European immigrants.
Yeah, but I mean, why kindergarten? It's so when the prevalent kind of language, I suppose the official language is English.
It is.
It just feels like a strange one that we don't say kindergarten over here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
a little
there
kink
you go.
in the
Kindergarten
language
cop,
system.
because you couldn't have kindergarten, you couldn't have preschool cop, preschool police.
Sticking with 90s action movies, my number 9 is The Last Boy Scout.
I can't be sure if I've seen this.
Never even heard of
I
that.
think you'd be sure, Dave. I
Really?
think you'd be sure. Well, let me read to you just the first paragraph of the synopsis, which is from Wikipedia. During halftime at so this is like a classic 90s action movie. It's directed by Tony Scott, Ridley Scott's brother. It's written by Shane Black, who wrote Predator and goes on to direct movies including Iron Man 3, and it's produced by Joel Silver, who would go on to produce The Matrix. It stars Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. During halftime at a football game, Los Angeles Stallions running back Billy Cole receives a call from Milo, a man who warns in to win the game or he will be killed. Cole ingests PCP and in a drug-induced rage brings a gun onto the field, shooting 3 opposing players to reach the end zone before shooting himself in the head. Meanwhile, private investigator Joe Hallenbach, a disgraced former Secret Service agent who was once a national hero for saving the president from assassination attempts, discovers that his wife Sarah is having an affair with his best friend and business partner Mike Matthews. Before this, Mike gave Joe an assignment to act as a bodyguard for a stripper named Corey. Mike is then killed by a car bomb.
Oh my God, what's going on?
Everything's going on.
Wow, I haven't seen this movie.
Oh, it's so good.
I've heard the title.
The shooting is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning. That's the first shot you see in the trailer is a running back sort of coming through the scrimmage line, just bringing
With a
up
gun.
and shooting somebody in the chest. The 90s.
Oh my God.
High concept action films. And do you know what? Shane Black is very good at writing dialogue. Bruce Willis is very funny. And Tony Scott, I really, really enjoy Tony Scott.
Is it funny?
It is funny. I think if you watch it now, these movies are so highly stylized. We were talking about this.
Yeah.
I think last year I went to see oh my Lord, what's the Samuel L. Jackson movie? Christ, Long Kiss Goodnight. And it's just got that sense of, I don't know, like you grow up in it and you don't see it, and now it's all I can see is just how incredibly over stylized these things were in the 90s and probably a little bit in the 80s. It's got its own language. Beautiful movie.
Yeah.
The Last Boy Scout. Rob, what's your number 8?
I think this is probably going to be higher up other people's lists as well. Thelma and Louise.
No.
It's not on my list.
It's not on my list.
I've not seen Thelma and Louise.
It's not on either of your lists.
Not seen it.
I just don't really enjoy it, but I mean, I'm willing to be wrong about it.
I mean, I don't know if I enjoy it, to be honest.
You're really hoping that someone else is going to see it.
Well, I saw it once. I think I've seen it once a very long time ago, and all I really remember is fancying Gina Davis quite a lot.
Yeah, fair.
And that's basically it.
Do you remember the end?
Everyone remembers the end.
Yeah. I've not even seen it, and I know the end.
Do you remember Brad Pitt?
Yes. Doesn't he have sex with one of them?
He does. That's correct.
I can't even remember which one.
So what's my part in the movie? You'll be
This
having
is.
sex with one.
It was only when I was looking at this yesterday to remind myself of it that I remembered or realised it was directed by Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Certainly when I watched it, I had no idea who Ridley Scott was. That's quite something, isn't it?
It is. I think that Ridley Scott, I mean, in the same year that his brother is directing The Last Boy Scout, I think that Ridley Scott has done, like, so many times he seems to have fallen out of favour and to not be particularly fashionable, and then to come back with something which is sort of defining in a way. Because I think the film that he made after this is G.I. Jane, which is a complete failure. Which, although I've never seen it, I'd like to watch it.
Oh, God.
It's funny because Demi Moore's been doing the rounds for The Substance.
I really want to see The Substance.
Is she in G.I. Jane?
She is G.I. Jane.
She is G.I. Jane.
And
yeah.
I saw a clip on, I think it was Letterman, of just like, because, you know, people would do body transformations for movies now, and Natalie Portman for Thor 3, everyone was like, holy crap, look at the guns on Natalie Portman. Demi Moore looked unbelievable. Like, her shoulders and arms looked incredible, like bigger than mine have ever been. And I've got like the testosterone.
You're the biggest guy around.
No, right? You know how hard it is for women to make muscle versus men. That's all you know what I mean? And the relative effort. What I'm saying is, to shock everyone, including you guys in the room, I think that Demi Moore might have put more effort into her physique than I have.
Yeah. So just because I don't know, I've just assumed that Thelma and Louise are fugitives on the run.
They're fed up with their husbands.
Do they do something wrong?
They do something wrong. I don't think they start out with the intentions of going on like a crime
rampage.
spree or a rampage. They just want to have a good time, and I think, you know, they get into some bad situations.
Right.
But you know, it's difficult without being around in 1991 to really appreciate the impact that it had. But I know it's like lauded as this, you know, feminist empowering movie.
Yeah.
Two central female characters acting in a way that, again, without, you know, being around in 1991, I don't know how outside of the norm it was to have two lead female characters acting like this in a film.
I think that
probably not that usual.
There's like I guess nascent. I guess it goes back to the idea of like where feminism is in culture generally, and, you know, like something like 9 to 5, and when it breaks through into mainstream, something like 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton had already happened in the mid 80s, I think. What a great film. But this is slightly more serious, slightly more like the. They do some really violent stuff in 9 to 5 actually, but it was like definitely like a touch point for those things. So the beginning part is, I think they're just having a nice trip away. That one of them's got a horribly controlling boyfriend, the other one is dating like a musician drifter guy, and they're having some drinks, and I think a guy tries to rape the young, I don't know who is younger out of Thelma and Louise, and the other one stops it, has a gun, threatens this guy. As they walk away, the guy says something, she just turns around and kills him. So it's kind of like crossing a threshold moment, maybe a bit of wish fulfillment, and then from then things escalate.
There's like a whole genre, I think, that has sort of spun off maybe after Thelma and Louise to sort of everyday people who just get into extraordinary situations. Like, it reminds me a lot of a series that I really love, The End of the Fucking World. I don't know if either of you have seen that.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first series,
which I really, really enjoyed. I ended up watching the whole. Each episode is only like 25 minutes long, so I watched the whole first season just in one big 4-hour binge.
We've always been telling you to watch Falling Down.
Falling Down.
I think we should do that on the podcast.
Is that the
Michael Douglas
one?
Maybe we could do a fuck it season of movies.
Every time you've told me about it, I'm like, yes, I would think I would love that film.
Yeah.
And I've just never got around to watching it.
We should just watch it on the podcast, then it can be done.
We should. Anyway, Thelma and Louise, number 8.
Number 8, Dave.
Number 8 for me is Misery.
Misery again. You're looking at a different list to us.
Yeah.
Misery. Talk to us about Misery.
Well, Misery, not something you might. Do you know Misery, Rob? Are you aware of it?
I'm not.
Sounds fun, doesn't it? It's not not something you might expect for me to have on my list, but really, this is my mum's influence. My mum loves horror and she loves thrillers. And I suppose
she tied me up to a bed.
and made me watch it. This is somewhere, I guess, in between. It's a Kathy Bates starring as well, it's interesting for this podcast, actually. It's kind of about fandom. It's about there's a very famous author who has a series of books who has a car crash in the middle of winter in America and is rescued by a woman who kind of nurses him back to health in her house, who turns out to be what are the chances? A very big fan of his book series. And she keeps saying she can't let anyone know. She doesn't have any phones. She can't go into town to let anyone know about him because the roads are all completely snowed in. So he's just, for a while, he's just going to have to hang tight in her house while she nurses him back to health. But she's a massive fan of his books. She's very, very nice, but then slowly becomes very, very not nice. And he has killed off her favourite character in the book, and she becomes very, very angry about this. And it's like a sort of horror movie about this guy having the dawning realization that everyone thinks he's dead. Not everyone, but no one knows where he is. No one knows that he's alive, and he is being kept in this house against his will by this fanatic who keeps him there by quite horrible means. There's a very famous scene with a sledgehammer, which is really, really just
you've remembered
vivid.
it. You've remembered it.
Vivid.
There's loads in there actually. So it's written by Stephen. It's from a book by Stephen King,
Right.
I think.
I'm not sure.
Certainly he's involved. I don't know if he just wrote the script or whether it came from a book. And it's about parasocial relationships and fan entitlement and all of those things that we discuss quite a lot in the video game as well, I guess. It's really great.
It's called Misery. Well, it's clever because the lead character from his book series is called Misery Chastain. So, but also he's quite miserable, I think.
You would be.
It's a good movie, and thanks, Mum, for introducing me to it.
My number 8 is Point Break.
This is one of the films that I thought I should have seen,
Same.
but haven't.
I haven't seen it either.
Oh, wow.
It's on it's on my list.
Well, I'll be brief. Again, it's incredibly 90s action movie.
I've seen Hot Fuzz.
I've seen Hot Fuzz, and I know the bit where he goes to shoot his dad, and he's like, in the air. That's as much as I know about
Well,
this
his dad in this is not his dad. His dad is Bodhi, who is the charismatic leader of a team of criminal surfers.
Oh my God.
Really, action.
So two surfer movies, two surfing related movies on your list so far, Nathan. We're only 4 movies in.
Was there another? Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's directed by Catherine Bigelow,
Okay.
who went on to do what's her Bond movie called?
Yeah. What is that called?
The Hurt Locker. Is it?
The Hurt Locker. Yeah.
Yes. But fantastic action movie director, and Keanu Reeves just looks unbelievable in this movie. So if in The Matrix he looks incredible, what is he, 32 or something in The Matrix, and he's got himself into ridiculous shape and he just looks fantastic. This is him 9-10 years before that, just looking like ridiculously young and handsome and healthy, and he's outdoorsy. And he plays an almost national footballing hero who got injured. Had a trick knee, so he joins the FBI. And there are.
I hope someone recruits him from his hospital bed. I can see the scene. The guy goes in, leaves him a card. Think about it.
Well, there's it does become part of the plot because
the think about it scene. We should just do top 10 think about it moments.
So there's a series of bank robberies which are going on by a crew called the ex-presidents who are wearing masks of Nixon and Reagan and some other people. And they're only taking money. They're not going into the vaults because really it's all about freedom and a particular sort of lifestyle. And they select Keanu Reeves' character as a good person to go undercover. So he tries to learn surfing, and a woman sees him surfing and says, "You're terrible at that." And then he's like, "Well, will you teach me?" And that's how he gets into the group. And at one point, his identity is kind of helped by the fact that Bodhi recognizes him as like, "Oh yeah, I saw you on TV. I love college football." I think that's how the scene goes. Keanu Reeves becomes entranced by the charismatic Brody, played by Patrick Swayze. So he is extremely charismatic, and he's telling him all about life. This is what they do, man. This is what life's about. And eventually his identity is revealed, but the dynamism of their relationship, that's why the shooting the gun in the air scene comes from. He doesn't really want to kill him, and he sort of believes in his ideas of freedom and what it means to be a a man and all of that business.
I wonder how
There's a
often
darkness
this
there
happens.
as well to the charisma.
Is there another movie about this, like with like Greenpeace or something? You always get.
Well, there's some horrible stuff about in real life about policemen who go undercover and have kids with people they're lying to and stuff.
Yes.
Really that's awful, isn't it? Keanu Reeves doesn't do that.
No.
Doesn't have a kid with
Like Black
Patrick
Doves.
Black Doves.
I've
See
not
Black
seen
Doves?
No.
The Netflix Keira Knightley, Ben Whishaw.
No, I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
Oh yeah, I have.
it's not actually that good.
I just forgot. The
Right,
first
it's-
episode's great.
It's all right,
And
and
then
then
it
it,
gets
goes a little bit worse.
That's true. Yeah, Ben Whishaw is. Yeah, he's the undercover one, isn't he? Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Well, everyone is undercover. There's lots of undercover in that film series. Robert Pearson.
Yeah.
What is your number 7?
Let's not talk about this one for too long.
Okay.
Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Not on my list.
This wasn't on my list. I don't know if it was actually out this year.
in the UK, I think it probably came out in '92 then.
But either way, we don't need to talk about it too long because we've all seen it. But I love this movie, and it would absolutely be on my list if it is indeed.
If it was.
It would. Yeah. Goodbye.
next time.
Whatever. Mermaids.
Well,
Sorry,
let's go
Mermaids. You're
back
out.
to the actual episode where we discussed this and listen to what year we said it came out in.
Yeah. Well, but then we'd just be trusting what Nath said. It's not when it came. The thing is, it's when it came out. It will always be like its first initial release, which is probably in the US.
Well, because we did, yeah. So I've actually got my notes because I was just going to read them again. The events of 1991. Freddie Mercury died. Robert Maxwell fell off his yacht. I've got it right in front of me. So we did have it as a 91 movie. I take your point, Dave. This is a testing of this format. So next time we'll get Dave to tell us where that website
is. Yeah, it's good.
And we'll just dive
We'll
in.
do that.
But yeah, well, please say something about
What's your
the Undiscovered.
favourite quote
I'm
from
most
the
interested.
Undiscovered Country, Dave?
Fire report then.
And
I can't remember any specific quotes. I just remember Chang with his eye patch and I remember that dinner scene. I just remember the dinner scene. I remember the I remember the David Warner's in this.
Yes.
Isn't he? He plays
Yes.
Gorkon. is
Gorkon,
it?
yeah, Chancellor Gorkon.
And there's that scene where they turn the gravity off and they go around killing all of the Klingons and all like the blood's floating in the air.
Digital blood.
I tried to save him.
Don't wait for the translation.
Answer me now. Oh, what a movie!
And Kirk fights the shapeshifter in
Yeah.
this one as well.
Yeah, he
Another
also
scene
sleeps
I
with
remember.
the shapeshifter too.
Classic big.
Great movie.
Doesn't the shapeshifter turn into Kirk?
Yeah.
He's fighting himself.
It's great. It's so good. Yeah. It's exactly the sort of thing he wants. And it just so happens that Kirk survived. The guy's just like, oh, shoot one of them.
Dave, your number
It's
7.
great. My number
7.
7. 6?
7.
7.
7?
7.
Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7 is FX2. Let's go. Come on. Who's seen FX?
I've not
FX2.
seen
I'm
this.
assuming that FX2 was actually your number 8 and you've messed them up.
No, I counted. I saw this was 4th from the bottom of my list, and I thought 4 and anyway. FX2.
With the Australian guy.
You're damn right.
I've not seen it.
Have you not seen it?
No, I've not.
Oh, man.
I've not seen FX either.
I'm not sure if I've seen FX.
Is it
but
about a plane?
No, it's about.
brilliant.
So FX2 is the second in a series called FX, and it's F/X, and it means effects, special effects, basically, because the lead character, a guy called Raleigh, and I don't know if that's Rowley or Raleigh, or I guess it's Raleigh, but he's Raleigh. He's a special effects artist in the movie industry. And that's his character.
Wow.
And in FX2, at least, he is like he's basically hired by the FBI, let's say, for an undercover sting. They want to catch these criminals, and they want to make it look like there's a woman alone in this flat, but it's actually going to be an undercover cop. So he's using his special effects expertise to try and catch these criminals. But it goes wrong, and then he's set up, and it's basically an action movie where he's on the run. Basically, he might have been double crossed. He's certainly like in trouble with these criminals.
Who's his cop unlikely partner?
He's got a partner who I can't remember his name, but his actor name is Brian someone.
Oh, is it Brian Dennehy?
Yes, Brian Dennehy.
Oh my God.
Is this guy, and the film is about him trying to figure out who has he been double crossed, and just get safe from the situation using his special effects knowledge. So the movie is just about all this like special effects stuff.
What a high concept.
It's
and it's from
great.
from a time when special effects were, getting becoming sophisticated, and I guess were very novel.
Yeah, I think so. It's probably we talked about, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like that.
There should have been
Audiences were
what
sort
a
of-
crossover that could have been. He could have stopped all the criminals with Ninja Turtle suits.
Yeah, and I guess that's a reason to watch this movie in part is because of the special effects, but also there are some. It probably lies about the power of special effects as well. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. But this is one of the movies I loved as a kid. I watched it loads of times.
Nice.
I don't think I've seen special effects. I don't think I've seen FX.
And
but
never did you think, do you know what? If I love FX2,
I could go back.
I could watch FX.
Yeah, but I'd love to watch it at some point. I also haven't seen it for about 25 years, so who knows whether it holds up. But
We're shortly about to get to some controversy where the first film I know was released in the UK in 1992 is going to be on my list.
right, okay,
But for now, my number 7 is LA Story.
haven't seen it.
Anyone?
Not seen it.
Oh, all right, I'll be quick with LA Story. It's a Steve Martin movie, and it's from a period where he was. People were beginning to think that he'd kind of lost it. Do you remember that really horrible interview with Dennis Pennis? Maybe just slightly before either of your time.
Steve Martin.
Yeah, so it's Dennis Pennis was like a comedy character by that British guy who is in Game of Thrones and plays. Oh man, it's terrible. I can't remember his name. He was a comedian. Now he's an actor.
Yeah.
And I think that he said this is the one interview that he really regrets. He'd just go. He would like be on red carpets and outside premieres and stuff. And
It was one of those things where the celebrity's not in on the joke.
yes,
Right.
and he would say stuff. Sometimes it'd be funny. Sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it'd just be a bit mean. And for Steve Martin, he just said, "Why aren't you funny anymore?" And Steve Martin just looks crushed. And because for several years people thought he wasn't funny, but LA Story is very funny. He stars and co-writes as someone, and you'll understand very quickly why I love this film more over time, who finds LA to be just horribly shallow and meaningless, and he's trying to find some kind of value or significance in his life, and it becomes slightly magic realist. There's basically a sign on the edge of a freeway which starts giving him life advice, and he sort of follows it, and it kind of works, and there's like a kind of a kookiness to the romance. He is dating someone he doesn't really like, a kind of a social climber, LA type, and a lovely sophisticated British lady comes into his life, but she's has a fiance at home, I think, and they basically fall in love gradually, and it does. There's a great scene you might have seen where everybody is around one of those kind of Ivy style LA luncheries, and they're all ordering a coffee, and he orders like a half calf decaf something with a twist of lemon, and then as the credits go to black on the trailer, everyone else goes, "Yeah, I'll have a twist of lemon," in a coffee. It's disgusting, but yes, it's just a really good takedown of LA. I remember it being just very light and imaginative and sort of warming. And it's got Sarah Jessica Parker in it as a very young person that he is sleeping with at some points, and he feels terrible about it, and that's also meaningless. It's just a great kind of slightly cynical but ultimately heartwarming film.
No, I'd be up for watching that. That
LA
sounds good.
Story.
A nice
I like
film.
Steve Martin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great film. Rob, what's your number 6?
The Addams Family
Oh,
is my number 6.
I have seen it. It's not on my list.
it's not on my list.
Really enjoyed it as a child. I think I've maybe seen this 2 or 3 times, and not since I was 10.
Yeah.
But I first watched it when I was about 6 or 7, and my burning memory is being absolutely captivated by Christina Ricci as Wednesday, and really, really fancying Angelica Houston. Like,
Correct.
Just unbelievable. People will talk about like their sexual awakening. Right. Like a 7-year-old, 8-year-old me not understanding what I was feeling towards this character I was looking at. And there's such a weirdness to everything in this film as well.
Yeah.
Like it's quite funny. I watched a couple of the trailers yesterday just to sort of remind myself of it. But just Gomez just turning around and asking Morticia, "Unhappy, darling?" And she's like, "Yes, perfectly." I love all that kind of stuff. It's such a weird idea, the Addams Family. And they just exist in the normal world, but they're just awful. And
Well, they're creepy and they're kooky. And they're altogether spooky. I can't remember the rest. The Addams Family.
And it's got a banging theme tune.
Yeah, it really does. I remember the TV show. It was on television when I was young occasionally, like a BBC Two sort of after
Sean Astin's
Neighbours
dad,
kind of thing.
was he? Have I mixed this up?
I don't know.
No, I don't think.
Where was the Addams Family first? What was the first Addams Family?
It was a TV
thing?
show.
It was a TV show.
Yeah,
first.
from like the 50s or 60s, I
Right.
think. And yeah, they're just like goths, aren't they? They're just, but
Just
they
goths.
like miserable. They like sadness and black.
But the irony of it is
They're the
really
happiest
enjoy.
people around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they enjoy the misery. So
Yeah.
they're not miserable.
you
they're
can't
happy.
you can't point that out to them because they'll explode. They'll be like, "What?
So you're not.
I'm
you're-
actually happy
you're
with
not
the sadness."
unhappy.
Oh, no.
You're happy about being unhappy. Therefore, you're happy.
I can't. It seems weird to me. The whole thing. Obviously now we have Wednesday. The Addams Family. It's like a sort of a phenomenon. It's definitely still living today. Like I said, with Wednesday on Netflix, which is huge.
I hate Wednesday. Can I just say?
What, the character or
the
the show?
Netflix show. I hate it.
Is it because it's really popular?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Does it
but
make you
also-
unhappy?
Yeah.
It doesn't make me unhappy.
You should have
It's
said
just-
perfectly.
He
I
set
should
you
have
right up
said,
there.
But it's just, it's one of those things that feels like it's been made with the memes in mind.
Yeah, well, I'm
okay,
sure it has.
now do like a dance that's iconic and have a miserable face. Yes, everyone's doing the dance on TikTok.
Well, it's not for you, is it? I'm sure you're right. It is
It's not for me.
It is
No.
made with the memes in mind.
I was very pleased to see Christina Ricci in Wednesday, the Netflix show. Though.
Yes, exactly.
Because there's no other Wednesday.
But it just feels weird to me that the Addams Family is a phenomenon, and enough to have a movie in 1991. And I remember whoa, it's exciting because it's the Addams Family, but it didn't actually mean anything to me. I can't remember anything about the story.
So I'm just looking up the original. And John Astin was Gomez in the original, but the original only ran for 2 years, so maybe 2 or 3 seasons. So maybe it's a bit of a Star Trek situation
Star
where
Trek.
the revival was, just as.
I remember there being a second one as well, where
Yes.
Uncle Fester
Yes.
has a relationship with that blonde woman who's I can't remember the actor's name.
Isn't there an imposter in the second one, or is that in the first one?
I think
How do they do Thing?
Well,
In the
I don't
Addams
know
Family.
how they do it, but it's great.
Is it good in the Addams Family? Yeah,
I remember
Thing.
it being really good.
Uncle Fester lights a light bulb with his mouth.
Yes. And I remember him being introduced. I can't remember whether in the first one or the second one, but someone introduces themselves to Fester and they say, "My name is this, and that's what my name means." And Fester says, "Oh, my name's Fester. It means to rot." Which has always stuck in my head. And of course, it's your man, isn't it, playing Fester?
Is it Christopher Lloyd?
Yes, I think so.
It's weird that I didn't know that until you said it, and then I suddenly saw his little face. He is the right choice. Yeah, the Addams Family.
The Addams Family, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Dave, what's your number 6?
My number 6 might be higher up some people's lists, is Dances with Wolves.
No, because
Not on my
this
list.
was not released in the USA in 1991.
I see. Well, it was released in the UK in
It was in
1991.
1990.
And
It wouldn't have been on my goddamn list anyway. I liked it when I was a kid,
Yeah.
but I'm over it now.
I've put it, it's weird that it's like, I definitely think I feel more warmth to things I've already said. FX2, it turns out I love.
Yeah.
Dances with Wolves, I think is great, but I'd rather watch FX2 right now. But it's obviously starring Kevin Costner. We are in the Kevin Costner wonder years right now.
It's his world.
My God,
we were just living.
Exactly. He's absolutely smashing it, and this is one of the movies by which he is smashing it. A story about, I think a soldier in kind of the frontiers of America.
Yes, he's definitely in America.
He's definitely in America who is kind of living a solitary life near to and alongside, in harmony with Native American tribe. And I think I can't remember exactly how he becomes part of the tribe. I think is he maybe injured and they nurse him back to health, and there's a sort of it's about him learning about them and their beliefs and becoming an honorary member of the tribe. But then the American soldiers are obviously continuing to just
Be
bad,
encroaching force of
encroaching all over
whatever
the
that is.
countryside.
I feel like the world's relationship with Dances with Wolves has been massively complicated by sort of post-colonial theory, which became more popular in the 90s. And basically, a film like this, which, and I say this as someone who doesn't necessarily subscribe to the kind of like the most extreme like political kind of version of what post-colonial theory might mean, but the idea that there's like one good white guy who understands the Indians and he really wishes it wasn't happening, and that's the thing you get a film about, and that's the thing that everyone gives Oscars to and celebrates, that is obfuscating what happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, and all those bad guys came at the end, they were bad, weren't they? And the bad guys are obviously actually us and most of us and the force that we represent, whatever that force means and however you want to sort of judge it in the end. But so that's, I guess, the difficulty of watching it now, is that it's like on a human level, this is a really interesting story about how this one person understands this culture, which and probably maybe even at the time was positive for correcting on-screen representations of Native Americans.
Yeah.
On the whole, though, difficult to watch in terms of just like it's a kid who's done something really bad telling a very particular story about how it happened. Like, I didn't even want to do this.
I see what you mean. Like Hollywood making this movie is sort of like
celebrating like this. What if one guy in the West had a conscience?
Yeah.
And the way that encroachment of white civilization across America happened is much more stop-start, is much more complicated. There are more nuances to it, but is essentially Europeans came and took everything. Like that's gradually what happened.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. I guess I
So what do you think about that, Dave? Where's your fucking wolf movie now?
I suppose that there is loads of that in the movie. I mean, that's ultimately it. Is all the tribe are decimated and Dances with Wolves is probably killed. I can't remember by all those colonial soldiers. But
there's a wolf called Socks, isn't there?
I don't remember. I do remember the wolf. I also just remember it's beautifully shot.
I've not seen this. Won't watch it now.
Yeah, that's right.
Apparently you're bad if you watch it now.
I didn't say that. My number 6, Dave, and I'm very sorry to say this, is Hook.
Oh my God.
It's higher up my list.
Well, it's higher up my list.
Oh, so you did include it? Even though it was released in the UK in 1992.
Well, according to it was released right at the end, the week of December the something in 1991.
It was in America.
Well, with this website, the website.
Well, anyway, good. Higher up your list. So, Rob, what is your number 5?
You'll love this.
I hope so.
I'm pretty sure this didn't have a theatrical release, but it's a movie from 1991 that I really like. Dragon Ball Z, Cooler's Revenge.
Oh my God.
Oh my
I
God.
saw Rob watching Dragon Ball Z yesterday at his PC and laughing like that.
My God, it is awful, but I loved Dragon Ball Z so much when I was like 13.
Yeah.
And this was just so cool. So cool. I think my friend Jake might have given me an illegal copy of this on DVD because you couldn't. These things were hard to find, like the movie versions of obscure Japanese animes. Yeah. And this obviously was from 1991. So the idea is an iconic saga in Dragon Ball Z is the Frieza saga, where Goku becomes a Super Saiyan for the first time and defeats Frieza. Cooler is Frieza's brother.
Oh my God.
And he comes to defeat Goku for revenge on his brother. And it's just like the series, just a series of escalating situations where the bad guys start winning, then the good guys start winning, then the bad guys get more powerful, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Until it gets to the fight at the end. It's Cooler versus Goku.
Are they in the sky?
They're in the sky, they're on the ground, they're all over the place doing what they do. And it's that thing where Goku is fighting him not as a Super Saiyan. And you're like, why? Just go Super Saiyan, man. But it's because they want to save the transformation into the Super Saiyan. It's like the big payoff at the end. Cooler beats Goku up. He's like on the floor like, ah. A bird sort of like dies pathetically in front of Goku. Like collateral damage, this bird like and Goku does the bit where he's like, oh man, the bird, and he cradles the bird and he's like, I can't believe even the bird has been killed. Gohan, my son, Krillin, my friend, they're all nearly dead. And he turns Super Saiyan, and in true Dragon Ball Z style, he now is able to defeat Cooler by putting almost no effort in. Like Cooler's doing all his big punches and Goku just standing there, stoic, no expression on his face. Like Neo at the end of The Matrix when he's just effortlessly blocking Agent Smith. Goku's like, no, I will block you and now I will destroy you. But the bit was really making me laugh last night when I was rewatching this is Cooler launches like a massive energy bomb at Goku. Goku, with all of his Super Saiyan strength, and this is like aimed at the Earth as well. This is going to destroy the Earth. Goku aims it back at Cooler and fires him into the sun. But as the energy ball is like pummeling the Earth, Cooler just has one of these lines. It's like, ha 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 ha. No one can comprehend my cunning and my power, ha 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 ha. And it's like a what moment when Goku sends the energy ball back. But as he's hurtling towards the sun through space, he's like monologuing to himself whilst attached to this energy ball. He's like, oh, I can't believe it. And he turns around and he sees the sun. It's like, oh, the sun. Well, maybe I could destroy that instead so everyone on the Earth would freeze to death. Ha 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 ha. Wait a second. I'm hurtling straight towards him. Oh no. And he gets disintegrated into the sun, and whilst he is in the sun disintegrating, he remembers just then that he spared Goku's life when Goku was just a boy, and that if he hadn't done that, and he's like, oh, it's him, no, and he disintegrates in the sun and dies.
Well, spoilers for Dragon Ball Z.
But the sun should explode because the
sun doesn't explode.
The energy ball was...
Yeah, the energy ball did go into it, yeah.
Maybe it's just a slightly more powerful.
It's going Super Saiyan, just getting really cross.
You go yellow.
It's getting really strong, and
but
often
because
happens,
you're really cross,
or when you're like hyper emotional.
Right.
But later on in the series, they can just do it
right
at the click of a finger.
Yeah,
I'll go Super Saiyan now, and they go Super Saiyan, and then it's like Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 and 4 and 5, and they're all called
5.
different names, and their hair goes different colours. And anyway, Dragon Ball Z.
In the interest of moving things along, Dave, your number 5, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was very distracted by Dragon Ball Z. My number 5 is Edward Scissorhands.
Not on my year.
Well, I saw this yesterday, and I was like, oh yeah, I do like that movie, and it was in the 1990 section for me.
Right, okay.
Same.
Well, would it have been on your lists?
Oh, yes, it would have been, I think.
It would have been close to being on my list.
I don't really like Tim Burton. I'm going to say it. I just said it.
Yeah.
I just don't kind of get
Can
it.
I shock you?
I think that what did he did Beetlejuice, right?
He did Batman.
I love Beetlejuice.
I love Batman.
Pee-wee Herman's Great Adventure.
I haven't seen that.
He did.
It's a great film.
He did Planet of the Apes, didn't he?
He did. I don't love that.
He did.
I tried to watch that again recently,
Big Fish.
I couldn't get through it. Big Fish, yeah.
Did Charlie in the Chocolate Factory?
He just,
Alice in
he's
Wonderland.
got his thing, hasn't he? He's got his style. You can tell
Johnny Depp in a silly hat.
You can tell a Tim Burton movie right away, mostly because it's the same cast and the same composer, and everything's a little bit off and a bit weird. But Edward Scissorhands, I do have a kind of soft spot for, and I remember watching it as a kid, and I don't know, I probably found it a little bit scary, and because it's so weird and everything's off. A man with scissors for hands, and he lives in this dark sort of tower, and then is brought down to this oversaturated American suburb where I think all the kind of housewives really fancy him for some reason.
It's very odd.
Which is so strange. But I just remember, and I'd seen it a few times, but I remember being 16 and just scrolling through the Sky channels and it just starting. And so I just lay there kind of, just to watch it, kind of not really, just something to do. And I just fell completely in love with Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Who is just not just, obviously she's incredibly beautiful in that movie, but also it's just when you're 16 and you're not, the most popular guy in school. Winona Ryder falling in love with Edward Scissorhands is just like a story. I was sort of breathless watching it, just like, oh my God, this is so, and their relationship is incredibly sweet. And that's basically it. That's why this movie's on the list.
I remember,
because it really struck me at that age as like a good, worthwhile story and very kind of moving and an interesting way of telling that story.
I liked all the scenes where all of the housewives were getting their hair cut by Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
And like really enjoying it.
Right. Is that why they like him? Because he's really good with hair?
I think that's just, they get their hair cut by him because they like him.
Right,
and
okay.
Like, oh, you got to do. And
he's also really good with scissors.
With the hedges as well. Like he's really
he did
good
a dinosaur
at doing
hedge.
the hedges, yeah.
He does a dinosaur hedge. He does their dogs. He
But
does,
I guess
pet
that is
grooming.
funny that you came in saying you don't really like Tim Burton because his whole deal is that outsider mentality and that's how you were feeling and why you responded to this film. But then in general, you're not a fan.
Yeah, I think
Aesthetically,
I don't.
maybe.
I don't feel good about that opinion, or that it's I don't really. I'm not very strong in it. It's just if I see a cool movie name and then it's like a Tim Burton movie, I'm like, oh, I kind of instantly know what in my head, or I think I know what that's going to be like, and that makes me a bit sad. But then I think those movies can be great. It's fifth on my list.
Jokes about this before in a previous episode where you kind of get to like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Alice in Wonderland, and that idea that whatever that kind of grit in the oyster shell was back then, which made it interesting, is now obviously completely palatable to a mainstream audience and is pretty bland and uninteresting. But I feel like the weirdness of like a Pee Wee Herman and a weirdness of Edward Scissorhands is interesting. It probably would have been
him doing Batman and Batman Returns was just so great. I love those two films.
Yeah, and like sort of what Marvel was doing in the early days, right? Taking someone with a genuine sort of outsider style and applying it to a world which would really benefit. Comics have often embraced that kind of thing anyway.
Yeah.
So
maybe
we should do more.
It's funny how perfect Danny Elfman is for Tim Burton. Like I'm literally just hearing doom 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 doom. If I think about Tim Burton, I just hear that sort of
Vincent Price
music.
is in Edward Scissorhands, right? And the thing that always got me, which I struggled with, was like there's an inherent tragedy to, like, it's a Frankenstein story, and it's about this kid who's been created, and it's always like it's got that fairy tale, that sort of tragic element to it of, no, go down there and don't do these things and be careful because other people won't understand you. And then of course it all goes wrong and he gets, there's heartbreak and misunderstanding and he's rejected, and that kind of thing really upset me when I was a kid. Which is why I think that I've never considered myself a fan of Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to my number 5, talking about fairy tales. My number 5 is The Fisher King. Is this on anybody else's list?
No, not on my list.
Seen it.
A Terry Gilliam movie with your man whose name Robin Williams. And
I'm aware of him.
And Jeff Bridges. And the Fisher King is the old legend of which the Arthurian legend is a type. Right. So the idea of the Fisher King being a character, a seasonal character who might, like it's dies in the winter, is reborn in the spring, but the idea of like a comeback and and therefore at some point, like the bit in the Arthurian legends where he's like sad and old and all of his knights are out looking for the Grail and they can't find it, and then they find the Grail and then there's a moment of renewal. And I guess that the Fisher King is because Robin Williams' character is in a moment of, he's homeless, maybe mentally ill, he's had some terrible things happen to him, he doesn't really want to talk about them. And it does have like this 90s sheen. Jeff Bridges is like a say whatever he wants late night talk show host. Hey. And it's so funny that I was blown away by just 6 years later, he's going to be the Big Lebowski. Yeah. He looks 7 foot tall in this movie. He's lean. He's like got a ponytail. He's wearing like New York fuck you suit. And that's obviously his character. But the transformation, and everyone always says, and Jeff Bridges always says, I'm basically the dude. That's who I am. Right. So for him at this moment to have just been, or whatever, just in the place where he could physically play that role is pretty impressive. He loses his job and becomes kind of down and out, and that's where he meets, I can't remember the name of his character, but he meets Robin Williams, who is playing a kind of version of Robin Williams, sort of untethered. He's able to kind of free associate, and but he's obviously, there's a real sadness to it underneath, and eventually I think Robin Williams' character says that there's someone I love, and I guess it's kind of ignoring some of the realities of sort of mental illness and it's a love story. So it's kind of like, as penance, Jeff Bridges is saying, I'm going to help you to have a relationship with this woman that you're in love with. Then at the same time, he's falling in love with, I can't remember her name, but the lady who does the voice for Marge Simpson.
Right.
She's in the movie. She's Jeff Bridges' love interest. And
Nancy Cartwright, is it?
No, that's Bart, isn't it?
Bart. That would have been a very different film. And I think it's Amanda Plummer, who from Pulp Fiction and the cafe scene, is Robin Williams' love interest. So they're kind of like strange, and Jeff Bridges is falling in love with a normal person, and it's kind of like a double love story. and it's just great. And again, it's kind of Terry Gilliam, who'd made Brazil, which I absolutely love, and then Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which is a bit more of a disaster. And then he made this, and then he made 12 Monkeys, and there's elements of incredible stuff in lots of his movies, and this is a pretty conventional one that really comes together, and I like it. The Fisher King. Rob, what's your number 4?
I think it's definitely going to be higher up on someone else's list. My number 4 is Hook.
Yeah, it's higher up on my list.
Wow.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute then.
Give us the hook.
We'll move on to my number 4 then, which is probably higher up on someone else's list. The Silence of the Lambs.
Higher up on my list.
Is not on my list.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe it is actually. Let me just check. Silence of Lambs, written that down. All right, back to my list then. My number 4 is Truly Madly Deeply.
Not
No.
on my list.
Nope.
Oh, Truly Madly Deeply is a lovely film, which I only saw for the first time about 5 years ago. And it's by Anthony Minghella, who would go on to do The English Patient and then and The Talented Mr. Ripley, and die quite young, but a very talented British director. Here, is it Juliet Stevenson and Alan Rickman? And they're a young couple in renovating their house in London when young couples could afford to buy a house in London. If you watched it, it's got the same kind of emotional tenor as, do you remember a while ago, I think I sent you, definitely Dave, maybe you as well, Rob, like the Bob Hoskins BT ads.
Yeah.
It's just in terms of like, oh, this is London as I remember it when I was growing up. And there's like a quality to everything, to the film, to the way the sound is recorded, to the way the cars look. And basically what happens is Alan Rickman dies really early on in the movie, and it's got a very grounded sense of this generation of actors who are, just think of all the teachers in Harry Potter, like all of this, like Robbie Coltrane, Emma Thompson, your man, Branagh, all coming up at the same time and doing theatre and then some movies. And this was originally a BBC movie, I think. And they've got like I guess they're the same generation as my parents, so maybe that's why I sort of know it and relate to it. And it, my aunt's parties used to look like this, and she had a house in a very similar place in London. And it's just it's sophisticated but emotional and intelligent and nicely put together. But then it's got this magic realist element where he just comes back, and she doesn't really question why he's back for a while. They're kind of talking about it, but they take it quite matter of factly, like, oh, you are living here even though you're dead. And eventually there are drawbacks to him being there, and it's about moving on and it's about grief. And she kind of finds someone else, and at the same time she's doing up the house, and all the workmen are very nice to her, which I found completely the least believable of the movie, let alone somebody coming back from the dead. And it's just a sort of a really touching film about grief, and I like it a lot. Truly Madly Deeply.
It's on the list.
Rob, what's your number 3?
Beauty and the Beast. It's my number 3.
Yeah. I had this in a different year, but that's okay because we're fast and loose with the format. It's a good movie.
It's not on my list.
It's a good movie.
This is just a great Disney movie. Like, and I think probably the movie that kicked off like the new, like the Disney Renaissance of that wave of animated films. I think The Lion King was the one they did after this. But I remember seeing a trailer for this, and it had that quite famous shot in the ballroom, which I think was the first time that Disney incorporated an element of computer animation with their traditional hand-drawn style. That incredible sweeping shot inside that ballroom where it feels like the camera's moving through the space in a way that you'd never seen before in an animated movie.
Yeah. Does Angela Lansbury play a plate?
She plays the little teapot.
Yeah.
Because isn't her son called Chip?
Yeah,
Yes,
he's Chip.
and he's a little chipped cup.
That's
That
great.
is brilliant.
It is really good.
That's all I remember.
And what else do I remember? I remember the funny Gaston song.
Yeah,
I
it's
watched
great.
this quite a lot, maybe a few years ago when my daughter started enjoying like Disney movies. Just all the songs are quite funny.
The songs are great. The music is great in this movie.
It is very good. And I don't really have a lot else to say, really, other than that it's a very good, wholesome, classic Disney movie from that time when I think that was Disney's
Renaissance
golden era.
It's
early
a
90s.
tale as old as time.
It was the Little Mermaid was the first one in that little stretch, I think. But
Oh,
then,
was it?
But then you're right. And then I think that was like 88, 89 maybe. And then Aladdin was around. And
Oh, Aladdin.
I mean,
I think Aladdin was 92.
They
Yeah.
can't miss at this time. There's like all of those movies. Little Mermaid, Beauty and the
but
Beast,
it's funny
Aladdin.
because the stuff that then tailed off is the stuff that a lot of people who are very slightly younger than me
Yeah.
really like. The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
I really like The Emperor's New Groove.
I've never seen Hercules. Is
No,
it?
exactly. Another one.
Yeah,
I'm just
they've
not-
missed all the best ones. Come on,
I'm not
we've
so
just
sure
discussed the
about
best ones. They're great.
Dave.
Yes.
Your number.
My number
Three.
3, I think will be higher up on your list, Nath. It's Robin Hood, Prince of
It is
Thieves.
higher on my list. Yes, it is. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Correct to have it so close to the top there. Well done. My number 3 is Barton Fink.
Nope, not seen it.
Not seen it.
I
not
think
on my
you
list.
would both love Barton Fink.
This is the Coen brothers, right?
Yes, it is. And it's the movie which I think they kind of famously wrote while they were suffering from writer's block on Miller's Crossing, which was their movie, which came out the year before, which is also a fantastic film. Coen brothers at this time...
Sorry, like writer's block. Whilst
we
you're
write-
writing a film, and the result of the writer's block is you write another film.
Another Cannes-winning film.
That's a great. There should be a TikTok bit of advice about that. Are you struggling with writer's block?
I think they were just
Write something else.
I think they were just in a groove. You know, this is the period of time. So that Blood Simple was their first movie, which is rougher around the edges. You know, every now and again, like the Wasp Factory or something. Like the debut is like rough, but still has a kernel of the thing which the author or the filmmaker will grow up to, will end up being. So Blood Simple is, I think it's a great movie, but rough. And then they do. I can't remember what was next, which is terrible. But they're in this period of Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink. You can forget the Hudsucker Proxy, but then they do Fargo, Big Lebowski. Just like this incredible body of work, really kind of amassed over a 10 or 15 year period. And I remember thinking of the Coens in very much the same kind of breath. A few years after it came out, I'd have been watching it, so maybe sort of 95, 96. And in the same kind of style as like a Lynch or a Cronenberg, that to me, they're kind of like subversive or slightly dark, unusual, surrealist elements of American independent cinema. And the things that you would just catch late night BBC 2 or Channel 4 and you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? There's scenes in this where John Goodman plays a traveling salesman who is staying at the same kind of 1920s Art Deco, but faded Art Deco hotel in Los Angeles as Barton Fink. And they shoot it like an underworld, like it's very deliberately shot like an underworld, but there's just a weirdness to it. There's a bit of wallpaper on Barton Fink's hotel wall which is always just falling down, and you, as a 15, 16-year-old, you're just like, why are they paying so much attention to this sort of bending piece of paper? But it's about a storied playwright from New York who basically goes to Hollywood, and everyone tells him he's the best thing ever and they can't wait to have him there. And the thing they'd like to get him started on is just, can you write us a wrestling picture? And he's really struggling because he's like, John Turturro plays Barton Fink. He's fantastic in this. And he is a conceited idiot who wants to write something. He always talks about the people and what it means, and he's waiting for inspiration, and he can't find his way into the wrestling picture. And very gradually, the people that in the studio are just like, how hard can it be? Come on, just like, and there's this tortuous moment. It's in the trailer. It made me laugh out loud when I was watching it yesterday, where he sits down and he's like forcing himself to write this wrestling picture, and it just kind of it zooms in on the script, and he's just written a large man in tights. Oh, it's so good.
So they wrote a film about a man struggling to write a film when they were struggling to write a film.
Yes, yes.
I really,
That's great.
It's extremely Coen.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to watch all the Coen brothers movies. There's so many I haven't seen.
Maybe on some kind of podcast.
In like an endeavour.
Yeah, but I just want to do it now. And
We're doing this instead.
when are we doing Coen brothers?
Yeah, but we could
do
agree.
it next,
We could do
mate.
a season. I haven't seen any of these movies.
I really
either.
enjoy the Coen brothers.
I've not seen.
Have you seen The
enough
Big
of them.
Lebowski?
No, I've not even seen Fargo, and I love.
You've not seen? Oh my God,
I
we've done
love
this
the
before.
TV show Fargo so much.
Yeah, Fargo's great.
I've seen Burn After Reading, which is probably one of their least good ones.
I actually quite enjoy it.
I've seen No
Is that with
Country
Brad
for Old
Pitt?
Men. Yeah,
Yeah.
Country
There's
for
a
Old Men.
stacked cast in Burn After Reading.
Yes,
if I
that's
remember.
right. I remember you
No
right.
Country for Old Men is astonishing.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
So good.
What's that Netflix one they made fairly recently about Buster Snuggs or something?
Yeah,
Ballad
Buster
of Buster
Scruggs.
Buster Scruggs.
Scruggs.
Buster
Wasn't that
Scruggs.
like a series of short? I've
Yeah.
seen that one.
Less exciting.
Yeah,
But
It's got some good bits.
But Barton Fink is a very good film, and it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. So
Well
there you
done.
go. Rob, what's your
Well
number
done.
2?
My number 2 is The Silence of the Lambs. I wanted to put this as number 1 because I really wanted to just watch it on this podcast, but I couldn't in good conscience say that it's my favourite film from this year. I've only seen it once when I was 13, and I watched it because my mum made me watch it because she wanted to annoy my dad.
Yes.
It's so good. Such a good story.
But
How did the news get delivered to you? Did you tell him or did she tell
I
him?
told him.
Right.
Yeah.
Did she tell you to tell him?
No, but she knew I would.
Okay.
And I don't remember much of this film. Obviously the iconic scene where Jodie Foster goes down into the cells for the first time, and it just panned. I've been in that set when I
Really?
went on that college trip when I was 18 to Hollywood.
Amazing trip.
I can't remember where it was. It might have been in the Warner Brothers studio lot. Anyway, we got showed down to that set, and that's a real physical place. And I remember walking down that corridor, and obviously it's a set. There's no one in the cells, but I just felt cold and quite scared walking down, going right to the end where Hannibal Lecter's cell is. That scene that's just a meme I see on TikTok all the time now. It's like POV, you're a teacher and there's that one kid who's always at school before you, and it just like Hannibal Lecter's just standing there with this creepy little look on his face. What a performance by Anthony Hopkins. Did he win an Oscar for this?
I think he did.
He should have done if he didn't. Probably his best performance ever in quite a storied career. And that scene was remarkable. And then the other bit I remember very vividly is the bit at the end where she's obviously trapped in Buffalo Bill's hideout, and she has to use... Is it her that has night vision or him? One of them has night vision.
The Buffalo Bill has night vision.
He has night vision, and it's quite terrifying. But the overriding memory I have is having this big build up, and my mum being like, "Oh yeah, Silence of the Lambs. Oh yeah, you're gonna watch it though, aren't you?" And then just the street cred I had at school from being able to tell my friends that I'd watched The Silence
seen it.
of
No,
the
you
Lambs.
haven't.
And it was also like
I'm different now.
It wasn't actually that scary. Actually, it wasn't actually that scary. It wasn't that scary, The Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
I understood it on
I
the
haven't
deep
slept
level.
for
Don't worry
6
about
weeks,
it.
but it's
Well, the thing is,
scary.
it wasn't that scary. I was expecting it to be absolutely terrifying, and it wasn't really.
I suppose
I probably find it more scary if I watched it now, and that's why I'm really keen to watch it again as an adult.
Probably my kind of Alien 3 Leica style opinion is I prefer Manhunter to Silence of the Lambs. And I feel like Silence of the Lambs is slightly hokey. And it's got some great stuff in it.
I wish I could have an opinion like that on it, but having only seen it once when I was 13, I can't really talk about this film with any kind of insight or
All you
authority.
can say is it didn't really scare you.
It didn't really scare me, and it holds a special place in my heart for reasons that are outside the quality of the film. So I do really want to watch it again.
Oh, for some reason, I just remember it puts the lotion on its skin, or it gets the hose again.
Yeah. Because that's what the kids would chant at you at school, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Which is something Buffalo Bill says to
He does to a lady
his
down
victim.
a well.
Yeah, great movie.
Great movie. Dave, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is T2 Judgment Day.
That is also my number 2.
It's higher on my list.
What number will it be? We'll have to wait and see.
Way. Well, that's actually then the next thing that we come to.
It's your number 1 because we've done both of our number 2s.
My number 2 is also T2.
Well, then we are talking about T2 because it's my number 1.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't know how you can not have this. It's an amazing film.
It's an amazing film.
What a run James Cameron is on, right?
Yeah.
Like
Piranha 2.
Well, with this and like I don't know what's better, Aliens or Terminator 2.
Well, you've got to decide right now.
You made a Biss in the middle there, didn't you?
I would need to watch Terminator 2 again, having watched Aliens
it's
fairly
lucky.
recently. Yeah. It's
We'll
just
ask you that in a few weeks.
amazing, my God. And I remember watching it for the first time and you get that bit where you think Arnold Schwarzenegger's the bad guy and he's going for John Connor. You're like, oh my God, no.
In the corridor.
And then it turns out that Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-100 is actually the good robot in this film.
It's a great switcheroo.
It's fantastic. And the horror of the is it the 1000, the T-1000?
I think so.
The bad one.
Yeah.
How he's just so like menacing and unstoppable and able to just keep coming back no matter how many times he gets shotgunned in the face.
Liquid metal.
There's a real kind of threshold moment here. In looking at it, obviously retrospectively, again, it's not. I didn't think these things at the time. In that first movie, the big, like we think of robotics and machines and it was initially going to be Lance Henriksen, right? But you get this giant man, to play it, and the playing off that the hero is Carl Reese, who's like this wiry guy. Obviously, that is where the switcheroo comes from. In the second movie, is that you have this like lithe guy, but now machines are lithe and they're liquid and they're getting more sophisticated.
Strength alone isn't enough.
And in a way that is stronger. And it's almost like cottoning on to the idea that as electronics and as technology gets more sophisticated, it will get smaller. Microchips are getting smaller, everything's getting smaller. And at the same time, it's that, but it's also taking a step into a sort of a mainstream storytelling and filmmaking for James Cameron, where it's like, how do we make Arnold Schwarzenegger the good guy in this movie? It's like a heel turn in... Well, no, it's like a face turn. Sorry, in wrestling, it's like there's nothing that a crowd will respond to better than a guy who was bad now being on our team.
Yeah,
it's a great bit of dynamics.
Yeah, it is, and getting to see or learning about the kind of the moment that initiates the whole story. You know, with Skynet becoming self-aware or whatever it is. Like, you know, that's like it goes back a little bit. It tells you a little bit about the past. Of the future. Oh God, I'm getting confused by
Linda
myself.
Hamilton as well was just talking about ladies getting ripped.
Yes.
Like from where she was just a few years before this. She's like... she's so lean.
Amazing in this. I mean, this 5-year... You've got Aliens in 1986. T2 now.
Yeah.
Just, you know, Ellen Ripley and Sarah Connor. You got to be putting both of them in top 5 action heroes, certainly like female action heroes of all time.
Yeah.
But like probably if you're doing top 10 action heroes, you probably put both of them in there.
Yeah.
Man or woman.
It's funny that like Ridley Scott, we talked about Thelma and Louise, Ridley Scott and then G.I. Jane is also making films with women protagonists and heroes, but they're very different to James Cameron. Is like, okay, I've seen what you've done with Ellen Ripley, but what if we gave her like a bandana and a flamethrower? would that be cool? And then like similarly, so I guess Sarah Connor gets like a similar treatment. There's always that line, I just remember her being so happy as a waitress in the first film, and I think she's late, something bad happens at work, and her friend like grabs her shoulders and says, look at it this way, in 100 years he'll care, and they both laugh. And then you just like flash to whatever that character has become in T2. It's such an extraordinary transformation.
Yeah. My partner's mum reminds me very much of Sarah Connor.
Oh no.
And I'm about as good as dealing with her as like you would imagine I would be with dealing with Sarah Connor. She's
wow.
She's certainly
It's hard to know where to take that one.
I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Some of the action set pieces we talked when we were doing Aliens about just James Cameron just doing stuff that's cool. The way that Arnold Schwarzenegger reloads his shotgun.
Come on, it's iconic.
It's just cool.
And just the motorcycle getting chased by the truck down those like LA storm drains.
So brilliant. And just what an incredible character to put Arnold Schwarzenegger in that all of his physical mannerisms and his, probably like Keanu Reeves, less than stellar acting skills are somehow just turned into something so perfect.
Yeah.
Like the action scenes where, you know, typically if it was a human in those action scenes, they'd have, oh my God, let's go. His endlessly non-expression, his expressionless face. There's that bit on the Harley. Is it a Harley?
I think so.
Whatever motorbike he's on. And it's just, you know, so much stuff is happening to him. And he's just like, nope, now I've got to do this.
Yeah.
Now I'll be doing this. There's something, I don't know what it is about it that is so incredibly satisfying to watch.
Yeah.
But I just enjoy the process of the T-100 just doing its job. There's that great scene where John O'Connor's like, so you have to do whatever I ask you to do.
Yeah.
Yes. lift up your left foot, and he just lifts up his left foot. But then he like learns like some little human characteristics by the end, doesn't he?
Thumbs
That's
up.
the little thumbs up.
Obviously, just the unlikely friendship between John Connor and the T-100 is great.
Adding kids into the mix of a film, which in that first instance was so people liked it because it was like really hard-edged science fiction and quite brutal, and it's about loads of people getting murdered, and to put a kid in the mix and not fuck it up is kind of extraordinary.
That's what they should have done in The Lost World, wasn't it? Make the T-Rex the good guy.
I mean, yeah.
Well, the T-Rex is the good guy in the first movie, though. Fans think. I don't.
They just like the T-Rex.
Yeah.
They're just animals.
Should all be destroyed.
So, Dave, we're going to move on to you now.
Yes.
What is your number one movie?
Well, just for you as much as anything, Rob, I want you to know I really struggled between T2 and my number one movie, which is Hook, to decide which one. And I had an inkling that you might go T2, so I felt more happy putting Hook here.
I'm pretty sure I already
rather than
know.
having to interrogate this already slightly delicate format. What happens now? So Hook is my number one movie from 1991, according to a website I trust for no reason in particular.
Hook was my number 4.
And my number 6.
Yeah, I love Hook, clearly. And I think, it means an awful lot to me for some reason. It's a film I've seen loads of times. I think that I quite like that it's not very well loved because I don't know why. I just
Do you know who
like
else
having a
doesn't
different
love it?
opinion to it.
Steven Spielberg.
Does he not?
No, I think that he was interviewed about 10 years ago now, and he said a film of mine that I'd really like to rewatch is Hook, because one of these days I think I'm going to rewatch it and I'm going to find something in there that I love, because I was always quite disappointed in it.
I think I can imagine being so close to something like that. I mean, famously, it was a huge production. The set is ridiculous of Neverland.
He said he didn't know what he was doing in the middle part of the movie, so he threw production design at it.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's like a perfect movie in any way.
But just because he was disappointed in it doesn't mean I feel exactly the same as you. I've always
I
had
feel a bit
massive
sad
soft
for him.
spot.
I think, in as much as I can, I guess what I'm saying is I can imagine working on it would make you not like it very much. But I think that it is a really great movie. The cast are incredible. Again, Bob Hoskins is back. He's so good. It's Smee.
He's so quotable.
Yeah, Robin Williams. Obviously, I love seeing Robin Williams play.
You're waiting for him to go Super Saiyan the whole film. That is a lot of what this film is. Just beep it. Just fly. Please just fly.
Yeah.
Do your hair and fly.
Maggie Smith. Hook, obviously. I didn't know for years
Peter.
that it was your man.
Dustin Hoffman.
Hoffman. Everybody loves talking about Glenn Close in it. Very briefly.
Pirate cameo.
And then all the kids. Actually, not Peter's kids. They annoy me. Jack and Maggie. Not good, I don't think.
Maggie's like,
Peter Pan's my dad. Can't wait to watch it.
he was there. I was there.
All the Lost Boys are like fantastic.
Yeah.
Rufio. I love Rufio.
And Julia Roberts, obviously, is Tinkerbell.
Oh, feelings
Mate,
when Julia Roberts got big.
Yeah, when she gets big.
In the old goalkeeper style, she made herself big.
She did, yeah. She fills the goal, very much so. Overfills it, actually. And I think that it's just a really wonderful
Just
movie.
thinking about Brian's gun video now.
I wrote about
Made himself big.
I wrote about this a little bit in the Civilian Observer that I wrote last month. But just at the time, I mean, I remember really. I think I would watch it now and get a lot more out of it. But even then, I remember it really hitting home the stuff about. I just remember Rufio saying, "Do you know what I wish? I wish I had a dad like you."
Yeah.
And that really hit me at the time. It made me think about my dad, and I love my dad, and I just thought, wow, I'm really lucky to have a dad who's good, who's great.
I watched the trailer for this yesterday as a bit of a reminder.
Yeah.
And I watched it when I was 10. So I was obviously thinking I was way more in like Jack, territory. And there's Jack's great line, I think, when they're on a plane at the beginning, and Peter is being very strict and kind of says, "Stop being such a child."
Yeah.
And he just says, "I am a child."
Yeah.
I really like that line. But yesterday, the line that got me, obviously now I'm a dad, and also my kids are like adults, and it's not Wendy, his wife,
Moira.
is at the window and just says, "Peter, the children want to play with you. How long do you think that will last?"
Yeah.
And I just burst into tears.
Yeah.
I'm alone in my house and I was drinking.
Yeah.
But I was also like, my
Yeah.
kids, that moment has gone for me.
You
I
then
did-
watched the Dragon Ball Z Cooler trailer and burst into tears. Opened another beer.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, movies.
It's true. I think there's so much. I do think that this movie is packed with like emotion and meaning, and it's not really. It's just set in this very vibrant, crazy fantasy world, but the story is so human. And I think Robin Williams is amazing. I love seeing him. Not just being a comedy character. Obviously, he does lots of movies where he's not a comedy character, but he's so good as the businessman who's stressed and doesn't have time for his family. He's so good at learning what his family means to him, learning to be Peter Pan again. I think it's fantastic.
Quite an interesting kind of parallel with The Fisher King in terms of two people kind of trying to recover something and him being submerged in a way for a lot of their.
And it's got this weird lens. The whole thing is filmed through this sort of slightly odd. Even the real world, in inverted commas, like London, and everything's just a little bit strange. And at the end of the movie, I think you're left wondering exactly what's happened, because Bob Hoskins is a street cleaner at the end of the movie, and it's just. I like that ambiguity about, like, did that really happen? Does it matter? Like, was he just dreaming? What happened? Don't know. But anyway, it's a great movie, and we'll be watching it soon. So
you're doing it, Peter.
Yeah.
Well, my number one is the best film of the year, which is
Rob's number 9.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
I used to love Robin Hood when I was a kid. I loved it.
As in before?
So much.
You mean this movie? Or
I already liked the Disney Robin Hood.
Right.
I love the
Disney Robin Hood's amazing.
This came out and I loved this. And then I went kind of Robin Hood crazy. Went to Sherwood Forest, I think, for my 12th birthday.
Nice.
Watched the BBC One Robin Hood. Watched Robin and Marion, the Sean Connery movie. There was another Robin Hood made this year, which wasn't anywhere near as much fun. But this film has excesses of Hollywood movie making in it, is kind of crass and ridiculous in lots of ways, in a way which if I watched the film now I probably would hate. I watched it last year though. Actually no, I watched it on New Year's Eve, I think. Just gone.
What, just gone?
It was what
4
I
months
did.
ago?
Yeah, again, I got slammed and just watched Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And I know every line in this film. I watched this film, I think, 5 times at the cinema. I fucking love this film. It's just like, it's that film of mine which I can't see any of the flaws in it, or I refuse to.
Yeah.
All I see are incredible quotable lines.
Yeah.
I don't think the beginning is racist even. It is. It's massively racist.
What about, it's so good to be home in England.
Yeah.
England's sweet shore.
Let me just ride to Nottingham in 5 minutes via Hadrian's Wall. And the tree that got chopped down last year, that's in the movie. Someone
it is.
climbs it.
Yeah.
Daniel Newman's character climbs it. Guy of Gisborne is fantastic. He's just what an evil guy. Obviously, Alan Rickman plays the sheriff of Nottingham. It's his greatest role. I remember my dad loving Alan Rickman. I was just like super into Robin Hood and all of the Merry Men, and I enjoyed that. But now, if you watch it, he's so much fun. He's having such a brilliant time as the sheriff. All of those scenes, probably 4 or 5 scenes, and they're all just absolutely bang. He understands the film that he's in completely.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the action is of a piece where it gets to certain action, like the star fight with Little John in the river.
Yeah.
It's completely beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is. I don't know why I've never been. It's unbelievable.
It's Sherwood Forest, Nath.
Yes, of course it is. And I love the guy who plays Little John and his relationship with the Merry Men. There's no malice in it.
No.
It's just a good time. I think that at the end he thinks he's drowned Robin Hood. And what did he say? He said, "Oh, he's a heck of a shame." And then that's it. He just starts walking off, and then Robin pretends to drown him. And then later on, the most incredible action set piece where they're saving several of the men from being hanged. It's got like this whole heist. They make a plan in the soil in Sherwood Forest, and then they go and execute the plan, and there's that incredible shot from
Is there a better bit of slow motion
and
footage
the sound
ever?
effect, because we will be watching this movie, and I want you to pay attention to the sound effect of that shot. No arrow has ever sounded so cinematic. It's incredible.
There's one thing you haven't mentioned, which I hope that you also enjoy about the movie.
Well, we
It's
should
very,
just,
very,
we
very
should
small.
just play it out. What are you talking about? The music?
Yes,
The music is amazing.
but specifically, obviously, Bryan Adams.
Yeah. Well, everyone agreed with me.
Some-
Obviously, for 16 weeks, people agreed with me.
I remember it being just kind of a joke, like, or just. I feel like they talked about having to change the rules or something to stop it from being number one. Because
Let me tell you how furious I was.
16 weeks. That's 4 months.
Well, Wet came the year or two later, and
Right.
and
They were 15 weeks, weren't they?
I thought they beat it,
Did they?
or certainly when it was getting closer. I was
Cher
furious.
had also. This is like the number ones for ages podcast. Didn't
Yeah.
Cher have a song that was like number one for even? I think
it
Cher has the
Believe?
record. Yeah,
Do you believe?
I'm pretty sure Cher has the record.
It's amazing how her voice matured, isn't it?
Got to look it up now.
Yeah.
Whilst
Obviously,
we wrap up.
love that little tiny bit of Sean Connery right at the end.
Well, that's a spoiler if
Sorry.
Rob doesn't remember it.
Wait, has
but
Rob
yeah.
not seen the movie?
I have. It's my number 9.
I object.
I don't know it
Unless I'm allowed to.
as,
I have
as
as
well
well,
as
I
either
know.
of you.
Oh my god, it's so
Caution.
good. I caution. I was genuinely scared of the witch as a boy. She's so horrible, and that's
so good.
at the end when she bursts in. Oh my god,
Painted man.
oh god,
He haunts my
she's
dreams.
really
Adorned with
scares
strange
me.
markings.
yes, exactly, yeah,
She's so fucking
I know
good.
it's Bryan Adams. 16 weeks. That's
Wow.
that's the record.
Still the record.
yeah.
Get in there, Brian.
It's so good. Yeah,
There's
I
a
mean,
bit
it's
of that when he's escorting Marion away to the boat from their hideout, and again, it's genuinely beautiful. They've shot England in a
They
fantastic
have.
way, and they're in silhouette, and there's just a mist across whatever lake they're next to,
Yeah.
and a classical kind of strain of that place. And I love all of the music. Michael Carmen, I think, is the composer. I really love the score. I love everything about it. I've got no critical faculties whatsoever when it comes
Yeah.
to this film. Brian Blessed is Robin Hood's dad. He's brilliant. He's like, obviously I loved Flash Gordon when I was a kid as well, so I knew who Brian Blessed was. And he comes in and he's got like a portrait of Robin on his wall, Robin looking just like a young man, bowl cut. And he's just so anti-Brian Blessed. He's writing with a feather. I would like to ask you about my son, Robin. Have you seen him? And then loads of devil worshippers turn up outside his
Yeah,
castle.
scary.
And his response is to go, not to shut the door,
Yeah.
to go and fight them. And the Sheriff of Nottingham takes off his mask and says, "Join us or die."
yeah.
And Brian Blessed shouts, "For God and King Richard!" And it's the best bit of any film.
Yeah. I love Duncan.
Oh, Duncan, but what
Duncan's so nice.
poor old fool let him straight to us.
I may be blind, master,
There's
but there's some things I
I
can
still
still see. I really like Robin Hood and Marion's relationship.
What about Much, the miller's son, and the other guy? So he's the Artful Dodger from the Oliver Twist movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the other guy, Bull and Much, and they try and trap
They like the
Marion and.
they
so
like the
good.
sort of double act.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, they're so funny.
And Friar Tuck.
Robin.
It's
Oh.
great. It's a great movie. I
God
was
damn it.
obsessed
I could talk
with
about this movie all
I
day.
was obsessed with the kind of treehouse life of the Merry Men as well.
Yeah.
I really, it's the kind of a montage, isn't it? The sort of building of the camp in Sherwood Forest, and they have all these amazing like modern things, like they just use pulleys and like wow, they've got
I know.
rope ladders and stuff, and their like heists become so advanced. And
What can we need at the
it's
forest
just
but not
great. I
provide?
loved it. Was as a kid especially, it's like the dream. I just remember as a kid, I always wanted like a Grail diary. I wanted a diary like full of adventure. I wanted to record adventures and draw little maps. You know, like Nathan Drake's diary. I was like, I should be doing this. I should be drawing statues and
really wasting away
uncovering codes and things. And I wanted like an amazing treehouse system with rope ladders and things like Robin Hood had.
Yeah.
It was
Instead,
so good.
8 sugar puffs. Went to school.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Well,
We've got our 3 movies.
yeah, Rob stopped talking about 10 minutes ago. So
To be fair,
Look, I've got nothing to say about this film when you two are talking about it because I've only seen it like once, probably.
well,
Yeah.
we'll put that to rights.
I'm looking
soon
forward to
enough.
seeing it again.
What order should we do these screenings in?
It's a great question, and I don't know. I mean, the order they were revealed.
Maybe that's so Terminator 2, which
Hook.
will be a great addition to the things we've already seen on the podcast over the last few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hook, which will be a film we watch, and Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, which is the best film ever.
It's going to be a great season. And then you, the audience, have to vote for another film that
The
we will
fourth
watch
film.
as a bonus episode.
Out of the movies we've
Well,
mentioned,
I think we should have a free vote, but we should probably have we'll make a long list.
we'll make a long list.
and then people can have
We'll use my website.
a vote. Yes.
I am interested only because it's just a big name. That no one said the Godfather Part 3. Is it a bad movie? I've never seen it. I've never seen any of the Godfather movies.
Well, it's not a brilliant movie, but it was also released in 1990 in America. So
Not according to this. Yeah, okay. In America, that's fine. But in the UK,
Yeah, I know.
it was 1991.
It's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one.
We'll have to think about this.
We'll use the same. At least we'll agree a source that we all use.
Yeah.
Going forwards, and then we'll be
We'll
whattever, whether it's right or wrong. That'll be
consistent.
it.
Well, thank you for joining us on our first ever ranking podcast.
We'll put that vote on our Patreon, I assume.
We certainly will. And we'll also put up a schedule, including what bonus, because there's one other bonus episode to fill, which we can just decide
Yeah.
amongst ourselves. So we will do that. We'll put up the schedule just after we put up this podcast. And you will then be able to see what things we've got coming up in the future. Do keep an eye out for that vote. Thank you very much for listening to us. Don't forget, you can always get in touch with us either on social media or you can email us at redsshirtcinemaclub@gmail.com. You can visit us on Patreon, Redshirt Cinema Club. You can support us for 2 extra bonus episodes every month. And that's everything to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to Redshirt Cinema Club. If you're enjoying the podcast and would like to receive 2 exclusive episodes per month, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just check the link in the description. We'd also love to hear from you. Email us at redshirtcinemaclub@gmail.com or follow us on social media. We'll be back with another episode next Monday.